There is still controversy as to whether the faculty for language that all humans have is dependent on normal development of the brain, or whether it is somehow a discrete function separate from intelligence, that is to say, autonomous. For example, if a person has lower than normal intelligence, can he fully acquire language? How else can we explain the opposite situation, a person who has normal intelligence but for some reason does not fully acquire language? Is this perhaps evidence that language is not dependent on general intelligence? Well, actually, yes. Some people have perfectly normal cognitive function but are unable to acquire a command of language. And there are also people with lower IQs who demonstrate a normal level of language proficiency. Because of these facts, we can surmise that the language faculty, say it's over there, the ability to acquire human language, is independent of a person's level of cognitive development. When a child has difficulty acquiring language but otherwise has normal cognitive development and intelligence, this is called specific language impairment, SLI. This condition baffles scientists and linguists alike, and the only remedy seems to be intense speech therapy. Even with that, the results are unpredictable. They don't really know why or how this happens. Another situation which also seems to support the idea that language ability is independent of intelligence is where an individual may be considered mentally handicapped but exhibits an extraordinary ability or talent in one area. These people are called savants. People like this often have an astonishing musical ability or talent for math, while being unable to perform normal day-to-day essentials such as dressing themselves. Think of people such as Dustin Hoffman in The Rain Man. Okay. People like this usually have a great deal of trouble with language, both the acquisition of and the creativity involved in normal use, although they may be able to repeat things said to them. An exception to the usual savant who is linguistically compromised is the case of Christopher in your text, a savant whose singular talent was language. He was able to learn many languages and could easily translate from one to another, even though he couldn't tie his own shoes. There are other individuals who are able to use language extremely well, seeming to demonstrate a knowledge of complex grammatical features and functions, even though their IQs are low and or motor skills are poorly developed. The case of Laura in your text is a good example of this. Laura had a very low IQ and couldn't add or understand number contexts at all. She couldn't understand time constructs either, but she could easily talk about them, using correct past tense verbs with adverbs referring to events in the past. Even though Laura could use dependent clauses and passives, she still couldn't tell time or read or write. Baffling, isn't it? Genetics also play a part in the ability to acquire language. Studies of children with genetic disorders show that impairment of one function, such as the basic cognitive function of reasoning and logic, does not mean the impairment of another, such as of language. But certain language deficiencies, such as SLI, the specific language impairment, can run in families. I think there's a gene in the Murphy family for spoonerisms. I'll get to that later in this course, but anyway, enough for that.